up, guys? It is Coaster Watch here, and today I'm going to be counting down the top 25 roller coasters that I have ridden as of mid-2018. So guys, as you all know, I just recently came back from Cedar Point, and I'm not really going to any new parks this year, so why not just get this list out too? I've been so excited to give this list to you guys. I've ridden so many great new coasters at Cedar Point and away from Cedar Point. You guys will be able to tell what some of my favorite roller coasters are. And hopefully you guys will see this list, and hopefully you guys will agree with it. And if you do disagree, please do not bash, because this is my opinion, and this is from when I wrote it. Coasters run differently, so maybe you wrote a coaster that I don't like at a way better time than I did, or maybe there's a coaster that I love that some of you guys hate that I wrote it in really good conditions. But keeping those things in mind, hopefully you guys agree with this list, and let's get started. So now at the number 25 spot, we have Blue Streak at Cedar Point. And if you saw my top 10 most fun roller coasters list, this coaster made an appearance, and that's all this coaster is. It is just so much fun. I absolutely love classic Woodies. This coaster isn't really too rough for its age. I rode this thing a total of 10 times at Cedar Point. This coaster has some awesome airtime. It was just a blast to ride. Now at 24, we have Bizarro at Six Flags Great Adventure, and this is a coaster I only got to ride once within the past 2 years, but it is still a great ride, absolutely. Not exactly my favorite coaster out there. It wasn't exactly as intense or as forceful as I was expecting it to be, but man, it is pretty good. I will say that. I do love this coaster's layout and its hang time. So now at 23, we have Sheikra. This is my favorite dive coaster. Reason being is the aesthetics of this coaster. They're absolutely amazing. The track looks awesome. There's an awesome scenery, a pretty good theme. And I also love these restraints, and I love the forcefulness compared to Valraven. I will say that Valraven has the better layout, but I do prefer Sheikra just simply for those reasons. And now at the number 22 spot, we have Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. And this is B&M Hyper with some pretty mild floater airtime. Not exactly the strongest airtime out there, but it's still overall a fantastic ride. It's one of the longest coasters in terms of track length that I've ridden. Has the height, has the speed. This is overall a pretty fun ride. And now at 21, we actually have Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. And if you didn't hear me say this a few seconds ago, I said that I'm not really a big fan of Valraven's restraints. Same goes for these, but except these are worse in my opinion, just because of the longer layout and the more inversions, I guess. But this coaster is pretty good in terms of forcefulness. It was a lot more forceful than I was expecting, and it gave hang time. So if you have a coaster that gives hang time and is forceful, I think that's a pretty good combo. And I also love this coaster's layout. I don't love the second half, but I do love the first half. So now at the number 20 spot, we have Kraken Unleashed at SeaWorld Orlando. And this coaster is just so much fun. This is the coaster that I've ridden more than any other coaster out there. It's somewhere in the 150s right now. This coaster is just an absolute blast to ride. It's really forceful. All the inversions have a really nice whip to them. And a lot of people say this coaster is rough, but I disagree. This coaster is not that bad. So now at number 19, we have White Lightning at Fun Spot America in Orlando. And this coaster is just also a lot of fun. It has ejector airtime packed into every single moment that it possibly can. Maybe not ejector on all the hills, but at least most of them. It has some sort of airtime to it. It's a short ride, it's a small ride, but it definitely packs a punch for its size. So now at number 18, we have Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And if you guys don't remember, last year my coaster count was in the 50s somewhere. I had this ranked at 19. But now that I've ridden even more roller coasters, and this coaster still managed to move up a spot, that's pretty good, guys. This coaster, I had a couple amazing rides on this thing a few months back and also a few weeks back. This coaster just rocks. It is absolutely awesome. It is not intense at all, I will say that, but it's definitely one of the best family-oriented coasters in my opinion. So now at number 17, we have Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, and this coaster is great. It is really, really forceful, especially in the back row. This is my favorite B&M flyer, even though I've only been on 2. This coaster is just absolutely phenomenal. I love the theming of this coaster. It is just awesome. This is overall a great ride. So now at number 16, we have a really, really unpopular opinion. This is actually Magnum XL-200 at Cedar Point. Yes, Magnum XL-200 is crazy. The first half of this ride is nothing special at all. It's just a bit of a rough fest. It kind of feels like an old wooden roller coaster. that doesn't really give any airtime. Those trims absolutely suck. They slow you down at least 20 miles per hour. But then you get to the second half, and it is ejector airtime madness. If you are sitting in either the third to last or second to last row or in row 3, just be prepared. This ejector airtime is absolutely crazy. And if you know how to ride this coaster, which would be to not really tighten up your seatbelt a whole lot, and then try to keep your restraint as loose as possible, which means holding up on the restraint, unfortunately, you are in for a absolutely crazy ride. You guys all saw my review on this coaster. I absolutely love it. So now we're at our number 15 spot, and at number 15 we have Tennessee Tornado, and this is a coaster that just fails to move down in my rankings. I remember how intense this thing was. It is absolutely crazy. If I could ask for one thing, it would just be to have a longer layout and maybe more comfortable trains and restraints. But for what it is, this coaster is fantastic. At number 14, we have Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. And again, this is an invert that just fails to move down. This coaster is so whippy, and it is so crazily intense. By far, one of the most intense coasters that I've ridden. If it just had a longer layout, and maybe a better drop, this coaster could be in my top 10 for sure. So now at number 13, we have a coaster I haven't ridden in a long time. But again, this is one that just fails to move down in my rankings. This is Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure. And this ride is just crazy. I haven't ridden it since its retrack, but I can tell you from what I remember and just from things that people have been saying, this ride is absolutely nuts. Some people say this ride is better than Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa, which will make an appearance later on the list. But I absolutely love Hulk for its launch and its theming and just for its overall intensity. So now at number 12, we have Thunderhead at Dollywood. This coaster just rocks. It has so many awesome bank turns. It packs ejector airtime into every single possible moment that it can. This ride is just so much fun. I really wish I could get back on it sometime soon. This is a coaster I definitely miss, but it is one that I think is an awesome ride. So now at the number 11 spot, we actually have Raptor at Cedar Point. And a lot of people say this ride's really shaky and rough, but I disagree. Raptor is freaking crazy. For one point in time, I thought this was the best invert I had ridden in my life. It was so intense. The vertical loop was awesome. Okay, the drop, that is the best drop on any B&M loop where I've ever been on. And that first vertical loop was awesome. The 0G roll is crazy. Every element on this ride, except for the transition into the brake run, is just executed so perfectly. This is a coaster that I wish B&M would try to recreate. This thing is absolutely wicked. If it weren't for my kind of a bad last ride, which was really rattly, and it was running super slow, this coaster would be in my top 10 for sure. So now we are at our top 10. Coming in on my number 10 spot is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. And yeah, this is a coaster that's dropped a bit in my rankings, but it's still one of, if not my absolute personal favorite roller coaster. I recently just got to 100 rides on it, and this coaster is awesome. It has some really good airtime. I would even say this coaster has ejector airtime in the front and on the last seat. This ride is just phenomenal. Amazing drop, amazing airtime all the way through. Just such a great ride. And at the number 9 spot, we have Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. And this coaster is absolutely crazy. I got to ride it a total of 8 times within my 3 days at Cedar Point. And this coaster is just phenomenal. In the front row, it is just a life-changing experience. It is just so much fun. It is such an intense launch. It's the best launch I've experienced on a coaster by far. It is crazy. I do love these lap bars. I love the theme. I love absolutely everything about this coaster. So now at the number 8 spot, we have Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee. And yeah, guys, I still fanboy this coaster. It is absolutely crazy. The bank turns are so intense. The 0G roll gives some amazing hang time, and all those airtime hills just throw you out of your seat. It's not the strongest ejector airtime that I've experienced, but with that being said, I haven't really been on too many gravity groups, but I guess you can say this is kind of a mini Jungle Trailblazer, or even go as far as saying this is a mini Voyage. Maybe I wouldn't go that far, but this coaster just absolutely rocks. So now at the number 7 spot, this is one that's going to cause a lot of controversy in the comment section, and especially with the coasters that are placing higher than it. But at number 7, we have Millennium Force. And don't get me wrong, this coaster is phenomenal. I love the speed on this ride. I love the pacing. I love even the really, really, really weak airtime. And I love the restraints. And I just love the energy in the station. But with that being said, it's not the most intense coaster out there. Like, sure, you gray out at the bottom of the first drop and over the first bank turn sometimes, but there just isn't a whole lot to it. It kind of feels like you're driving in a car down the road with the windows down. Like, I absolutely love this roller coaster. I got to ride it 12 times in multiple different seats during multiple different times of the day, and it didn't really leave a very good lasting impression on me. If it were just based off my first couple rides, I would have said this was top 5 for sure. But with the amount of times that I rode it, I kind of started to notice the annoying things about it. So what's better than Millennium Force? How about Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa? Yeah, this is pretty unpopular, but Montu is freaking crazy. It is pretty much Raptor. I would say it's just as intense as Raptor, or maybe even rides like Hulk or Batman the Ride, but it just has a better layout in my opinion. Which, okay, the second half is not that great, but this coaster is just a lot smoother than Montu and a lot more enjoyable than Raptor per se. Maybe Raptor has the way better second half, and this coaster's second half is not that great. But all of the elements that are inversions are fantastic. All of these inversions are probably top 3 or top 5 of their kind, from what I've ridden. But in terms of elements that aren't inversions, there aren't really a whole lot to look at. This coaster has some amazing strong points with some incredibly weak points, but a coaster that never lets up is Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa, and this thing is absolutely monstrous, guys. Kumba is one of the most insane roller coasters on the planet. It is my personal favorite B&M roller coaster. It is just absolutely wicked. It is so strong. It is so intense. There isn't a single moment where you can breathe on this ride. Everything has so much whip and so much intensity. It is absolutely unreal. And I love Kumba. It is so much fun. But now at the number 4 spot, which reigned as my number 1 steel coaster for about a day, this is a Maverick at Cedar Point. And Maverick is just an all-hell roller coaster. This coaster does everything in its power to kill you. It is just such a fun ride to marathon. I got to ride this 14 times within my 3 days here. This coaster is just absolutely bonkers. I love it. It just does so much. This coaster has so much variety. People that say this coaster is the king of variety, I would have to agree. I do think Maverick, it has the best variety out of any roller coaster that I've ridden. But Maverick is absolutely insane. I love it. It does everything so well. Those stangle dives are crazy, guys. Maverick is a special coaster to me. So now at number 3, this is where things might get controversial. This is Lightning Rod at Dollywood. And Lightning Rod is just absolutely incredible. I only got to ride it one time. Maybe if I rode it more, it could even go as high as being my number 1. This coaster is phenomenal. It packs airtime into all of these elements. Everything has so much ejector airtime. Everything on this ride is so strong. It is absolutely wicked. This coaster is just an incredible RMC. I did think this was the best RMC in the world until we got Steel Vengeance. Yes, guys, Steel Vengeance is coming in at number 2. Big surprise here, guys. Now look, Steel Vengeance is absolutely incredible. It is one of the longest roller coasters I've ridden. It does have the best airtime that I've experienced on a roller coaster. Maybe not sustained airtime, but it definitely has the best airtime, and it does it in every single possible way. This coaster has a fantastic drop. It does bunny hills so well. This coaster has the best bunny hills on any coaster that I've been on. This coaster has like so many different dives, and it has so many different inversions with some incredible hang time. It's such a long ride, but in my opinion, I think the best roller coaster that I have ridden, at the number 1 spot, we have El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. And go ahead, call me biased towards this coaster. I don't even care. This thing is freaking nuts. Like, seriously, I think this could be one of the best roller coasters in the world. It is absolutely crazy. And the thing that sets this coaster apart from me from Steel Vengeance, there's a few things actually. The airtime. I will say that Steel Vengeance's airtime is better, but I personally enjoy El Toro's airtime better. It has much better sustained ejector airtime, meaning the airtime lasts for a lot longer, which the airtime on Steel Vengeance and El Toro last about the same amount of time. Maybe El Toro's lasting longer, but El Toro's sustained is definitely a lot stronger. 2, the intensity. The intensity on El Toro is far better than Steel Vengeance. Steel Vengeance is not that intense in my opinion. I think El Toro, the thing about El Toro is that it never lets up. Steel Vengeance has a mid-course brake run, so that gives you time to breathe. I'm not a fan of that. I like to experience pain and just absolute hell until the end of the ride, and El Toro is the definition of that. Maybe a pretty weak middle section. I will say that Steel Vengeance's quote-unquote middle section is way better than El Toro's, but El Toro's strong points I definitely think do beat Steel Vengeance's strong points. But El Toro is absolutely insane, and it is the #1 roller coaster that I have ridden. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that list. Thank you all so much for watching, for sticking here until the end of the video. Be sure to drop some of your favorite roller coasters you've been on below. Drop your thoughts on the list. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And as always, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.